Welcome back. Today we're going to go over chapter 2 of Priscilla Presley's new book, Softly as I Leave You. If you want to look at chapter 1, just check out my channel. There's a video on chapter 1. Let's dive in. So Priscilla says after she left Elvis, the first few months were rough. Elvis was humiliated and angry and blamed Mike Stone for the marriage falling apart. He felt that Priscilla was leaving him specifically for Mike Stone and not for any other reason, which Priscilla says it's not true. She also adds that she didn't leave Elvis because of their last sexual encounter together where he forcefully made love to her. And at this point, she's trying to clarify, from what I'm seeing, she's trying to clarify her choice of words when she had made that statement in her first book. Now, here's where I'm going to quote Priscilla directly, just because I don't want to try to interpret it. I'm just going to quote her as she said it. So she says, quote, Elvis had felt emasculated. He needed to prove to himself and to me that he could make love like a real man, the way he imagined a karate master doing it. Elvis made love to me forcefully, not forcibly. His usual tenderness and consideration for me were missing, end quote. So Priscilla said Elvis had asked Joe to find a HIT man. I don't want to say the word. I don't want this video to get flagged. For Mike Stone. And Joe was against it. And I find this really odd because in Red and Sonny West's book, they said that Elvis, you know what? I don't even want to bring other books into this review at this point. I just want to focus on what Priscilla says in this book versus what she said in her first book. She says Joe was asked by Elvis to find that guy, and Joe was against it, but Elvis was still really upset about the split. And Priscilla at one point had asked Joe if she could bring Lisa Marie to one of Elvis's Vegas shows. And Joe told her, no, it's not a good idea because just this sheer sight of you, if Elvis sees you, might set him off. That's how upset he was. Eventually, she said Elvis calmed down and gave up the idea of finding a dude for Mike Stone. Priscilla said that Elvis was the one who told Vernon, his father, about their split, and that Vernon didn't blame Priscilla because he was with Elvis in Vegas. He saw all the women that Elvis would see in Vegas, and that she and Vernon maintained a close relationship after the split. She said that she also stayed in touch with people like Tom Parker and some of the wives like Joni Esposito, Joe Esposito's ex-wife, and also with Elvis's double first cousin, Patsy. 5 months after Priscilla left Elvis, he meets Linda Thompson. Priscilla said she's not jealous at this point. She said that when she decided to leave Elvis, all the feelings of fear and jealousy were left behind. She said she knew Elvis needed a good woman to take care of him, and from what the wives and the boys were telling her, Linda was a very good person. As far as the living situation, Priscilla ended up in a little community called Marina del Rey, which is in West Los Angeles. Marina del Rey was suggested by Mike Stone. So she found a little apartment there. She said that Mike never moved in with her. And at the very beginning, because she was so concerned with Lisa Marie's emotional well-being after the upheaval of the separation and moving away from Graceland, she kept their interactions, Mike and Lisa's interactions, very platonic. They were platonic in front of Lisa. Lisa only knew him as Mommy's friend, Mike. They were pretty slow in integrating any type of formal interaction with each other at first. And Priscilla says that she and Elvis eventually started talking again. They even celebrated Lisa Marie's 5th birthday party at his suite in Las Vegas. After the party, they went to one of Elvis's shows. That was Lisa Marie's very, very first shows that she saw her dad perform. And Priscilla says at this point, during the show, Lisa realizes her dad is the king and that she is the princess. In the book, I'm going to quote Priscilla here. She says, before, she had just been Lisa. Now she was Elvis Presley's daughter. It was an identity that both enabled and haunted her for the rest of her life. And I've read Lisa's book, and so that makes sense. So 8 months after she left Elvis, they were in court. This was October 9th, 1973, for their divorce proceedings. And Priscilla mentions how concerned she was because Elvis looked so bloated and he was sweating a lot. And during the proceedings, she had expressed her concerns to him about how well Linda was taking care of him just based off how of his appearance that day. And it's strange because in this book and in her first book, because she in her first book she talks about expressing concerns to Elvis in the courtroom, but she never mentions if he even responded to her or what his response was, if there was any, which was, I think it's odd. Anyway, when the divorce was finalized months later, Priscilla ended up moving from her apartment in Marina Del Rey into a home in the Holmby Hills area of Los Angeles. If you're not familiar with the Holmby Hills area, that's where like the Playboy Mansion was, where Hugh Hefner lived. These are huge, huge properties. She said she moved to Holmby Hills because she wanted to be near Elvis in case he needed her. He also owned a home nearby. She mentions that she took it as her responsibility to ensure that Elvis and Lisa spent time together. And so she would call him and she would make arrangements that when he's in town, Lisa can drop by, Lisa can spend time with him. They took turns even having Lisa for Christmas, and during long breaks such as Easter or like summer break, Lisa would go spend time with Elvis at Graceland or wherever he was at that point. Priscilla then goes on to talk about how different her lifestyle was from Elvis's lifestyle. Her home was more conventional and structured, whereas Elvis never changed his night owl lifestyle to adjust to Lisa, even when she was there. And it made it very difficult for Lisa to adjust going from one home to the other. And when Priscilla confronted Elvis about Lisa not having, a set bedtime, bath time, being able to eat whatever she wanted, and that she should be given guidelines and taught values, Elvis said, the hell with values, let the kid have fun. Priscilla called this an exaggerated version of the permissive divorced dad syndrome. And that from Lisa's standpoint, Lisa interpreted this as this indulgence as unconditional love from her father. Priscilla says that this vast difference in parenting styles affected her relationship with Lisa Marie. Priscilla couldn't compete with Elvis in this measure because she was not comfortable giving Lisa Marie the freedom that her dad would give her. Then Priscilla goes on to talk about how Elvis would call her at random times during the day and night. Sometimes he would call while she was with another man. She said Elvis never asked her if she had a boyfriend, and she never spoke about Elvis with her boyfriends. She states that she didn't date a lot of men, but she never listened to Elvis's music when she did. And she says that she and Elvis maintained a really good relationship after the divorce because there was no more pressure anymore. So their relationship improved around one another. And that she and Elvis would talk about how his relationship was going with Linda Thompson. Linda ends up leaving Elvis after 4 years. And at that point, Priscilla said that Elvis was, quote, desperate because, she said that he needed a woman in his life to take care of him. So someone in his entourage had introduced Elvis to 20-year-old Ginger Alden. Priscilla believed that Ginger was just too young to understand Elvis's complex needs, and questions whether or not Ginger actually was in love with Elvis or loved Elvis, considering that she had a boyfriend at the time. Priscilla also mentions that she heard through the grapevine that Ginger was not really interested in a relationship with Elvis, but Ginger's mom was persistent that Ginger maintain a relationship with Elvis or be involved in a relationship with Elvis because Elvis was considered the big prize. Okay, I'm pretty sure I have some of my viewers shouting at the screen at me because Priscilla and her mom were accused of having the same motive with Priscilla's relationship with Elvis. I get it. I read the books. I read Ginger's book, Linda's. I've read books about it, so I totally get the whole irony in it. Pot, kettle, black. I get it, but I just want to, like I said, stay focused on Priscilla's book, this book, and her first book. So let's just move forward with this chapter 2. So according to Priscilla, the boys and the entourage and their wives were telling Priscilla that Ginger was constantly making up excuses to not spend time with Elvis, like on the weekends, because she wanted to spend that time with her boyfriend. And additionally, she did not want to go on tour with Elvis because she wanted to spend time away from him. And Priscilla was worried that, with her perception of Ginger not being able to take care of Elvis, that was a big concern. And then she was even more concerned when she heard rumors that they were engaged. And she felt that if this marriage were to happen, it would be a disaster waiting to happen. But Priscilla says that through all of this, all this whole time, that Elvis continued to be affectionate towards her, and he'd use their pet names, and they do the baby talk that they used to do long ago. And she ends the chapter with an incident that happened on Christmas, which I can only assume was Christmas 1976. She doesn't state what year. She said as she was leaving his home or wherever they were, he kissed her forehead and looked at her and said, "Someday, maybe someday." So an illusion that Elvis wanted to reconcile. I know she had mentioned that in her first book. So anyway, that's chapter 2. Chapter 3 is where Priscilla discusses why she kept her married name, a surprise offer from Playboy, and her encounter with OJ Simpson. See you then.